So, imperfection. You clicked on this video, so you must be thinking about how to be okay with being imperfect. But even the fact that it is absurd, the very idea of imperfection. The universe, according to most physicists, was created through imperfection. Basically, after the Big Bang, there was energy. Energy was released, and all kinds of matter, atoms, particles, things. Let's just call it things, okay? Because this video is all about imperfection. These things spread out into the universe. And quantum physics laws means that a particle really small have different laws governing them. They are pretty random. Yes. I am not a physicist. I have a bachelor's in psychology and anthropology, which I will come to. I am a person of scientific faith. So the theory is that there was all these things uniformly distributed across the universe. But because of the different laws governing them, some of them vanished. Why do they vanish? Because the universe is chaotic. It is a chaotic place. It is not perfect. It started off imperfect. Just enough for the forces between particles to gravitate towards whatever was closest to them. Time would not have moved forward if the universe was perfect. We call it imperfection because to us things are not as ordered as they could have been for it to be perfect. Evenly distributed particles, things. So is that really imperfection? What I'm trying to say is that this earth, us, we are not perfect. I know that. I know to say that the universe was created out of chaos and imperfection, and that, oh look, this imperfection created us, is a little, human. But many of us are obsessed with this idea of perfection. We are obsessed with being able to control our life so that we can have a perfect life. Or we would just say, oh, I want it a certain way because I'm a perfectionist. Or you could even say it in a really sad way, like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. It's just a flaw, whatever. And honestly, even worse is how severely upset some of us can get if our lives aren't perfect, especially when we compare it to perfectionists. We get so upset when there is a pimple, we have these flyaway hairs, oh no. Oh, but I am embracing my imperfection. But why are you calling it imperfect? I mean, why does it have to be perfect? I mean, that's my issue. Why is this so annoying? Why is frizzy hair so annoying? I mean, yes, it's not presentable, which is okay. I mean, so what is the goal here for people? For me, sometimes, what is the goal for to be perfect? What do you hope comes from this obsessive need to be not imperfect? Why do you have to embrace those imperfections. And there are many answers to what you hope comes out of this. I think a lot of us would like to have a successful life, and to have a successful life means doing things perfectly in order to get that idea of a perfect, successful life, which is absolutely fair. I mean, yes, we all need to strive to be a lot better than we already are. The issue with wanting to be perfect is that somehow you only end up seeming perfect to other people, hopefully, if that's the goal. But you don't ever feel perfect inside. And I think that's because you know the truth. You know that perfection doesn't exist. You know that, but you want it to exist. You want it to be perfect so that you have control over this crazy, chaotic life. And that's why I wanted to start off with how the universe began from imperfection and chaos, because beauty came from imperfection and chaos. Perfection may give you, flawless skin, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Perfection might be doing really well on a test, getting projects done at work before the deadline, or in a way that gets you amazing results, which is also great. The problem is how you feel when you're not perfect. That is the problem. The problem isn't with trying to be perfect. But it's hard for you to accept that perfection doesn't exist, because how else can you control your life to be successful? But it's okay to want to be perfect. It's just accepting that imperfection, chaos, messiness, ugliness is important in your life, actually. Because accepting the ugliness of life frees you, gives you freedom. It doesn't trap you into this box of being perfect. When you say, oh, I am accepting my imperfections, it's saying that the idea of being perfect is better, and I feel bad about being imperfect, so I am going to feel better by trying to accept that imperfection. But how about, instead of accepting your imperfection because you feel bad about it, maybe you just be like, I literally don't care. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I think I'm like, don't care too much about those imperfections, because beauty comes out of natural imperfection. It does. However, because of our upbringing, we have different cultures, environments, personal experiences that change the way our boxes are formed in our minds. So our minds basically tend to put things in boxes called schemas in psychology. So we put these things in boxes because it makes our mind easier to comprehend the complex nature of things. So because of the way we are brought up, we might perceive things to be differently from other people. And we might determine perfection based on the way we are raised. You have to understand why this is so important, because what may be perfect to you is not perfect to someone else. And the problem that arises when you don't know that, or when you don't accept that, is that you see someone else being imperfect and you get mad. You get really angry and upset. And you'd say that they're not asking the right questions, because to you it's like, well, I wouldn't say it that way. I think it's okay. It is absolutely okay. The way you're brought up, what perfect means to you, that is great. And it's important actually that many people have different ideas of what perfect means to them. Your job is to accept that difference. Your job is to accept the differences in perfection, because if you do that, you are more likely to not care when things are imperfect, because you know that's just a really dumb way to think. That's just a really dumb way to think, because you're just cutting yourself off from the diverse nature of this world. A very important point: vegetables. Tomatoes. If you don't see tomatoes as this perfect red round food group, fruit, it's a fruit. You're not going to eat a tomato that might have like 2 bulbs on it, or that might be a little little, just a little different shape, cucumbers, zucchinis. Why am I bringing zucchinis? Like oranges, literally anything. And the problem is that when these vegetables grow in this imperfect way, you're going to throw them out. When I say you, I mean, yes, you as consumers, because you are not going to pick that up in the grocery store. Companies are going to realize it's a waste and throw it out. The amount of food that's being wasted because of this idea of perfection is insane. And it is harming the life of so many people. Literally. At least, I mean, it's just, it drives me honestly a little crazy, because you have no idea how your idea of what perfect means. It has so many consequences to the people around you, to the diverse people around you. And I'm not just talking about culture, I'm talking about different status groups, I'm talking about different economic groups. Oh, and I will bring up disability for sure. It's okay to have this idea of perfection, right? But you should know that diversity is the case. So when people from European cultures came to India, long time ago, do I have to say the year? No, I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care. But when they first came to India properly, there are many accounts to show that they saw the unique culture of India and they thought it was beautiful. They thought it was, very colorful and different and awesome and crazy. However, when they started to colonize us, they still held on to this idea of how perfect their culture was, and they imposed this idea on us Indians since colonization. And we are fighting that belief, that idea of perfection to this day. We are fighting what it means to be perfect in a Western sense. We are still fighting that. A lot of people hold on to tradition and cultures, but they still have this mentality that the Western culture is more perfect. And that is so dangerous. You can see why that's dangerous. Imagine if that happened to you. If someone else from another culture, just imagine an alien with this perfect, culture came to you. You saw their culture as being perfect. It starts from that. And then they came to colonize you and then impose this belief, and you internalized that belief. It is dangerous because it puts you in a prison of perfection that doesn't exist. and that cuts you off from truly creating something beautiful. Beautiful to you. What it means for you, your own true idea of perfection, without putting other people down. That's the important point. So please, fight this idea of imperfection. When we see a rose, a beautiful, colorful, perfect petaled rose, it's us humans that created that rose. For example, a yellow rose. I think even a red rose. Blue roses, pink roses. Doesn't exist in nature. When we see dogs, okay, dogs, come on, pureness. We humans created those dogs out of a bunch of wolves. What we see as perfection isn't necessarily perfection itself. This ability to enhance a given object to be more beautiful than it is in itself. For example, the Grand Canyon. You know, we walk into the view, we see the beautiful red, we see the curves, we see the light reflection, we see the depth, we see, we see beauty. But, we can argue that the Grand Canyon is nothing but a really deep trench, and it's just rock and sand, and it's not a big deal. But most of us don't see it as not a big deal. We think it is beautiful. And I think that's amazing. It does start with you because it can really impact those around you. I'm talking about those vegetables, right? And I'm also talking about people with disabilities. That's like the biggest example I can give you. I have worked with people with disabilities, and there are many people who can literally, who their whole life, what they do with their minds, all they can do is repeat phrases that they've heard over time. Repeat them. That is just random. They make no sense. They're clear English words, but they make no sense when they put together. It's just like a parrot repeating the words. And then maybe sometimes trying to use their mind to somewhat communicate their needs using those random jumbled sentences. When you look at them and you see this imperfection, do you see how dangerous that is? They are born into this life, into this earth, just as you are. And because of your idea of perfection, you are not giving people with disabilities the opportunities to create something at all with the life that they were given on this earth. And when you have this idea of imperfection, you're more likely to entertain terrible thoughts when you see people with disability, or someone with severe mental health issues, or someone with substance abuse. It is such a dangerous idea of even embracing your imperfection. It is better to actually strive to be successful in your perfect way, but be happy with anything that is not your idea of perfect, because you know that that is the true nature of things. The true nature of things is imperfection. Perfection, in fact, is a desirable outcome. It is something you can strive towards, but it is not something to feel upset about when you are not always perfect according to you. It starts with you. If you think in your own mind how it is simply okay, it is simply just whatever to be not perfect, and then trying to be perfect in your own way, you will look at other things like, yeah, this tomato, I'm sorry, I keep bringing up tomato, but yeah, this tomato will taste good. It looks a little funny, but I can still eat it. It still does its job. So it's okay to buy it, and so you're reducing waste, you're reducing the amount of energy that's being consumed by growing these vegetables. I hope I tried to make this point clear about why imperfection as a word, as a concept, is absolutely absurd. And I hope that you can go forward with your life feeling free to be who you really want to be. You know, you can wear that full face of makeup. You can go out, you know, with a crumpled t-shirt. You know, you can go out with unshaven legs. So I'm gonna continue to make more videos and try to just talk about what is not very obvious or clearly seen about consequences of ways of thinking. You know, there's many YouTube videos out there to teach you different ways to be successful, to motivate you while still taking care of yourself, your mental and your physical well-being. But it's also important to know the bigger ideas around the way you're feeling, around what it means to be successful. I hope that through these videos we can help each other figure that out. Please leave a comment about how you thought this video was, how it helped you, or other points that you think I could have brought up, or how you think that maybe imperfection as an idea is a good thing. I mean, yeah, sure, just let me know. Really. Productive conversations all around.